Jai Gurudev everyone, and welcome to this course session on how adults learn. Since we are in the business of teaching adults, to be an effective change and transformation facilitator, we have to understand how adults learn best. To do this, you first need to know the difference between pedagogy, which is child learning methodology, and andragogy, which is adult learning methodology. Now, these differences in learning were highlighted in 1968 by Malcolm Knowles, who was a professor of education at Boston University. He pointed out that adults during that time had a hard time learning because they were being taught in the same way that they were as children. Adults, he said, do not retain or process information in the same way as children, and he insisted that teaching methodology needed to be adapted to suit adult needs. With pedagogy, children are very dependent on the teacher for their learning and for all of their learning resources. They do not ask why they need to learn something. They simply follow the curriculum of that school without any question. The teacher naturally takes the role of expert, offering knowledge and skills to the children in a very structured way. Children's motivation to learn tends to be driven by their teachers or their parents. For example, when we were all in school, we were rewarded by gold stars, lots of praise or extra TV time. For many children, learning is something they have to do, and for many, something that they could probably do without. With andragogy, or adult learning, things are very different. Adults are self-directed, meaning that they like to take responsibility for their own learning process. They're motivated by something within them. They do not need gold stars or extra TV time. They tend to feel a need to better themselves in some way. They want to improve their self-esteem and feel a sense of accomplishment. They come to class with a learning goal in mind, and the aim of learning for them is to improve their life circumstances in some way. To get them to class, however, adults need to know exactly what it is that they're going to learn. They want to know what the outcomes of that learning will be. They want to know how spending this time in the classroom will impact their circumstances in a positive way. It's not enough to know what modules the course will cover. They want to know how different their lives will be if they apply the learning principles. To the adult learner, you are more of a facilitator of learning than a teacher. They understand how to learn best and want to be able to organise their learning material in the way that works best for them. Adults see the teacher as an equal. Of course, you're there to give them new skills. You're there to help them to think differently, see things differently, and help them how to approach problems from a point of view that they never thought of. But the adult learner knows best how they learn, and they need to self-direct in this way. In the classroom, adult learners tend to draw on all of their life experiences in order to make learning more meaningful to them. They like to think and reflect. Adults learn best by doing, by having meaningful classroom experiences. They prefer to learn through problem solving, and all exercises must be linked to real-life issues that they can relate to. And they will very quickly question any subject matter that has no relevance to their learning goals. So just to recap, let's have a look at the 5 assumptions of Malcolm Knowles' theory of adult learning. The first is what he called self-concept. Self-concept assumes that, as we get older, we become much more self-directed. We know what we want to learn and how best we can do that. While the teacher can give us information, we choose the methods of self-study that suit us best. We might go online for extra information. We might form study groups for support, or we might do additional e-learning courses. Knowles' second assumption was the adult learner experience. The adult learner experience draws on the life experiences that adult learners already have. We learn best when we can reach into our past to make sense of what we are learning now. Experience is an effective knowledge builder. We tend to learn best when we integrate our professional or personal life into the learning process. By involving past experiences, we can enrich our learning journeys as we draw knowledge from information or situations that we already know. Readiness to learn is Knowles' third assumption. This means that we have a drive to learn things that are going to better our lives. We want to know how a course can make positive changes for us. We tend to learn best when the topics presented are aligned with our goals, such as subjects that would help our careers or help us to be better parents or better partners or better friends. His fourth assumption is orientation to learning. Orientation to learning is the assumption that, as adult learners, we want to apply what we learn to our everyday lives. We tend to prefer learning topics that help us to solve problems in the real world. Motivation to learn is Knowles' fifth assumption. Here, he's saying that adult learners have an internal motivation to learn. We tend to seek out knowledge and skills that align with our personal goals, our career advancement, or practical needs. So, this concludes our session on how adults learn. Please note that there are supplementary videos on this channel. I chose them especially for you to enable you to deepen your learning. And just a note, there's a lot of information on YouTube, but I've chosen the videos that I feel are most relevant to what you'll need in the future. So enjoy watching, and I'll meet you in the next video. Jai Gurudev.